What's going on, guys? This is Qazi. It's been days since DaVinci Resolve was released, and you're probably wondering, what the hell are you doing, Qazi? Why aren't you putting out content about all the new features? And the reason is simple. You guys know how I work with this channel. Everything here is practical, and the idea is to turn you into a tastemaker. So I didn't want to do anything prematurely. I wanted to play with all the new features and how to actually use them in a real world scenario. We're gonna be focusing on the color features here, but I'm still gonna touch base on what's been added to the cut page. I'm also gonna talk about a few things that they added to the edit page. We're gonna go through the preferences and the project settings. Check out what I'm gonna be covering in this video. So there's a lot that we're going to be covering in this tutorial. So sit back, watch it once, watch it twice, share it with friends. And guys, I just want to say that I have a special offer on my masterclass for the next 6 days. The price will increase as we get closer to the promotional offer. But let's check out what's included in the masterclass. It's the ultimate roadmap that takes you through every step of the color grading process. The masterclass contains 25 hours of lessons, 150 plus videos, almost 100 gigs worth of professionally shot footage for you to practice with, free LUTs and power grades, 30% off on any film convert products, and you get free access to the mastermind group where we hold weekly competitions. You get tailor-made feedback and a chance to win $1,000 cash prize. Click the link and sign up right now. Enrollment ends soon, and I will see you in the masterclass. Now on to probably everybody's favorite new feature in DaVinci Resolve, which is the high dynamic range. Don't get it confused with HDR. You can use this tool with SDR, HDR, ACES, any sort of color management that you set up. This is just giving you more of a granular control over your image. Think of it as log wheels on steroids. Now, I know it's much more complicated than that, but this is the simplified version. It's broken up in 6 different zones, and what they're using is exactly that. They're using Ansel Adams' zoning system, and you got your blacks, you got your dark, you got your shadows, midtones, highlights, specular highlights, stuff like that. And the way they're breaking it down is that you got your blacks, dark, shadow, and then if I click right here, we got our light, which is what Ansel Adams called midtones. We got our highlight and then specular highlight. So this is how it's broken down. And then down here, all these controls that you see, they're completely different and redone than what you have in your primaries, okay? And here's a proof of that. This is a still grab from Resolve's user guide, and you can see it. Superior temp and tint controls, basically similar to how the human vision system perceives change to a scene due to a change in the color temperature of lighting. So it's much more granular. It's pretty much working off of this entire zoning system. If you look at these tabs right here, if I click on this guy, it opens up and gives me the flexibility to either add more zones or modify my current zone presets, if you will. And then this red color that you see right here is your fall off. So how much give do we have? Like, think of it in Photoshop like feathering. That's what it is. And you can adjust that depending on if you're not getting the results that you're looking for. So this is the quick overview, but obviously we're going to deep dive when we start creating our looks. And then you can click on this guy, it can close it off. You can also just click right here to get the zoning system here and then still have your HSL curves and everything available right here. But I like to leave it to that, and then I open it up if I want to make some changes and then close it off. So Primaries palette got a facelift, which is very nice. But the thing that excites me the most over here is that this row that they added, this used to be a tab. So you would click on the second tab and you'll get temperature, tint, color boost, highlights, stuff like that. Now it's all in one place. And then if we move over to our log wheels, you can see that low range, high range is available on this top row, which didn't exist before. So this is very effective, especially if you are a laptop user or if you're using a mouse or a tablet instead of a panel. This can speed up the process by a lot. So this is a brand new curve that they added, saturation versus luminance, which is the opposite of luminance versus saturation, where you will pick a luminance in your frame and then adjust the saturation of that. This does the opposite. So if I were to click right here, select this area, I can control the luminance of it, but you have to be very careful because it breaks apart very easily. I know for a fact that there's going to be times when it will come in handy, but I have to play around with it more to understand it a little bit better, but you get the gist. Now on to the color warper, or spider web as people are calling it on the internet. This is basically a tool where you can adjust multiple things at once. So in your HSL curves, you can do one thing at a time. Here, say in this mode that we're in, if I hover over here, it'll tell you hue and saturation. So if I were to just click right here and move things around, you can see what's happening. I'm adding saturation and then I'm changing the hue of it. So as I go over to this side, I'm adding more saturation. If I go back, I'm reducing the saturation. If I come down, I am changing the hue. So that is the basic idea. If I grab it from here, same thing. If I want to add more blue, I'll go this way. If I want to subtract blue, I will go this way. If I want to add teal, I'll go down. If I want to add more saturation in my teal, I'll go out. And then I can create something like that. I am very impressed with how it's handling the image. This is a Panasonic GH5 footage and it's handling it really nicely, doing a really good job. And obviously you can see that I've built out my grade and now I'm pushing and pulling on top of it and still managing to do a good job. So that's the basic gist. I mean, if the green is too much for you, you can just click right here and then pull it in, and then we can desat it a little bit. We can grab it from here and then pull it in, desat it even more, and you can see what's happening here. So we're affecting it on a hue and saturation level. If I were to hover over here, you'll see chroma, luma. Now we can adjust those values. So if I come over here, I can also, by the way, in my viewer, hover over and it'll give you an indication what we are selecting. So if I come over here, it tells me, okay, now if I'm right here, this is where I'm grabbing all this orange or red. So if I were to come here and go, let's give it a bit more yellow. And then I go, okay, this is too hot. Let's bring it down. So we're adjusting the chroma, the color, and then temper tint, if you will, and then we're adjusting luminance. I can do the same thing over here. Do you want to add more green or magenta? So I can move it over here and then pull it down. So this is our tint, this is our temp, and it gives us the luminance control on top of it in one place. You can also control the resolution of these grids. So if I click right here and hit 12, it will give us even a more granular control over the changes that we're making. Same thing goes with this right here in our color warper. We can come here, click on 12, and it will give us more control points. We're going to dig deeper into more features of color warper when we actually get to the tutorial section. Another nice little feature that they added to the curves and the color warper is that you click on this expand button and it'll give you a much bigger detached window where you can make finer adjustments. This goes for the curves. Also for our color warper, we can click on this guy and do the same. So I think it's very effective. Once again, especially for this, where we're going to be using our mouse or pen and tablet, this will help make accurate corrections. I don't know about you guys, but I am very excited about this particular feature. So before, if you created a pre-node, it will be labeled 9 because it was the last node that you created. Now they fixed that. So the numbers are dynamic. Once you create a pre-node, it will adjust the numbers accordingly. And if I were to create a node after this, it would have been called 9, but now that problem is fixed. Another massive tool that they added to this release is Magic Mask, where you can either select the entire person, or in this case, how I have his face selected, you can scroll this down and pick which body part or what exactly do you want to select on a person. I know for a fact that eventually they're going to have a scroll down here where we can select car or objects and things like that. But this is a great feature And if I click on this mask, it tells you how my selection is. And then you just go ahead and track it, and it'll try its best to give you the best match. And in this case, it did a really, really good job. I'm super impressed. Again, we're going to deep dive once we get to the tutorial section. Scopes also got a major overhaul. If you click on these three dots, you can now switch between SDR and HDR right within this menu instead of going under DaVinci Resolve preferences and doing it there. I'm going to set it back to SDR. Another thing you can do is go ahead and expand this. Now we have a 9-up. Before, maximum scopes we can have within one window was restricted to 4. Now we can do a 9-up. It's kind of an overkill for me at least, but what I really need is parade, waveform, histogram. So I can throw histogram here actually, and then 4 vector scopes. And I have them split up between lows, mids, highs, and then overall vector scope. So that's my setup for scopes, and I think it is a welcome update. And then if you click X right there, it goes back to its spot. And that's about it in terms of the upgrades to the scopes. Let's put all these brand new tools to work. I'm going to start out by building my node tree. So it's going to be 6 different nodes. And guys, the sequence where each effect goes or tool goes is very, very important. Okay. So the first one is going to be noise reduction, as always. This one is going to be my HDR. Now, just remember the high dynamic range node needs to go right here. It will not go after the primaries. Okay, that's very important. Here, we're going to put in our primaries. I'm going to have my contrast here. And then this one is going to be our color warp. This one is going to be sat versus luma. And then we're going to create one more node actually. And then this one is going to be our glow. So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go under my contrast. And basically this is going to be, yeah, this is going to be my contrast. That's fine. So let's start off with the contrast. So I'm going to park it. I'm going to kind of go for it. So something like that. This is fine. Now I'm going to come in here, add saturation. And now, what do I want to do? Do I want to move anything around? Like maybe let's adjust some of these parameters. Okay, maybe something like this. So this is where we are. A few adjustments and we're in a good place. So if I do before and after, come a long way by just making quick little adjustments. Now we're going to get into our HDR tools or high dynamic range tools. And we already went through the explanation, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Now I'm just going to put it to practice, how I would use it in a real world. So first of all, if I hit Shift H and go into this mode, you'll see that I can, by clicking these buttons, see where my dark points are, where my shadows are. And then if I click right here, I can see where my light points are, my highlights, specular highlights are none. So it kind of gives you that whole thing. Now we have to program and teach it a few things too. And that's where these zones come into play, right? Because for dark, it's not really picking up much. So if I go in here and do this, it can start picking up quite a bit. What I want to do, first of all, is that I feel like the image is a bit too contrasty. So I'm going to go under my shadows and I'm going to lift them up. I'm going to lift up my shadows, and that's like the signature HDR, you know, sort of look that we know, like where we can just see through into the shadows and everything. So that kind of helps quite a bit. And now I'm going to take my light and I'm going to bring it down because I want to like preserve as much information in her face as possible. So if you look at the before and after, you can already tell how much of a difference it's making. And don't worry about what's happening in the black points because we're going there right now. So now I'm going to go under my dark and I'm going to try to pull it down. And this is where I was going to tell you that we're going to control it by moving our zone. And you can see it right here that I'm moving it. So now I'm kind of saying, hey, affect a little bit more of the image. I'm not going to go too much, but I'm just kind of feeling it out where it just looks right. And it's making that difference. Now, guys, look at my parade right here and see how much we opened up the image by keeping our black points in the same exact place. Like, look at this. This is before, this is after. Our black points are in the same exact place. So that gets to tell you the power of this tool and how it actually works. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under my highlights and let me just raise them up a little bit. So I'm going to raise my highlights up. I'm going to keep going to like really just kind of pop my image. So look at this. This is before, this is after. Look at the amount of information we preserved all around. At the same time, we opened our image up so much. So let me go back in my light and kind of bring it down just so I'm going to raise my highlights a little bit. And now I'm going to do the same thing. Okay. I'm going to just watch what's happening in my zones right here. I'm going to start moving it back so I can grab more. And now that I'm grabbing that much, I'm going to try to bring it down, raise it up. And I'm just like really focusing on her teeth, the highlights. Let's try to open it up a little bit more. So I'm going to bring it back and obviously do it too much and then kind of pull it back to split the difference. So literally just look at the amount of information we added. Doesn't it look so 3D? I mean, just look at her shirt right here. And this was before and this is after. Same thing right here. Just look at how much detail in her eyes. And now I'm going to go under shadows and I'm going to lift it up even more. I'm just going to kind of abuse this tool, to be honest with you. So I'm going to raise it up like that even more to open it up. I'm gonna keep my light right there. That's looking good. I just want to make sure that I'm not breaking my image. I don't want to go too far, you know? So take my light and bring it up a little bit. Okay, so this is looking good. And now what I want to do, the next step is I'm going to go under my glow and I'm going to add my glow in right now, okay? I want to have that in. And obviously we're going to do what we always do. So I'm going to go in my composite mode, set it to soft light, pull it back. And I want to bring my brightness down because I think the brightness is too much. I'm going to pull this back. That's too much. And then let me see how are we feeling about this threshold. All right, so threshold is looking good. So this is before, this is after. Now if I turn this off, right? So this is before, this is after. So definitely helping a lot, our glow. But now if I go back into my HDR node and if I turn it on and off, you see the difference. I mean, this is before, this is after. That's what I mean, guys. It really does add a lot. Now we just have to be careful. Obviously, we will correct her skin and everything else in our color warp. But for the HDR, I think it's looking pretty good. Let me just go in and see what else I can mess around with to really bring it home. I'm going to start with my light. I'm going to bring it up a little bit, actually. I'm going to bring my highlights down, light up, and then bring my shadow, keep my shadow somewhere around here. And now let's go into our dark and kind of pull it down. And then under my dark, I'm going to, again, just kind of open it up to see if I can grab more. Now I don't want to grab too much of her eyes because her eyes are brown. So I'm going to leave that in. But that's doing quite a bit. So guys, this is sort of like the gist in a real world scenario to how you would use this tool. And then another cool thing about this tool is that I can go in and start desaturating specific things. So like now I'm desaturating just the shadows. You can see it right here. And I'm like pulling that down a little bit. And then I can go under my light and do the same thing, either desaturate or add more saturation, whatever it is that I want to do. So in this one, I actually want to add saturation, and it's adding saturation into her face. So that sort of granular control, like having 6 different saturation knobs, if you will, like, I mean, just look at it. You have saturation knob for each one. This is the kind of control that I'm talking about that you cannot get otherwise. While we're at it, let's just go under shadow and start pulling some of that warmth out. So I'm going to pull this down a little bit, not too much. So something like that. And then I'm going to go under my light and I'm going to pull it down just a touch. Focus on the skin. So I want to keep that salmon or just that perfect skin tone in there as much as possible. So guys, just look at little tweaks go a long way, okay, in this high dynamic range tool. But ultimately, I mean, just look at that. So if we didn't have this tool, this image would have been looking like this. And with this tool, the amount of information effortlessly we were able to pull out. And because it is sitting right before any changes that I've made, if I were to work on this entire music video, I can copy paste this HDR settings and it will be right on the dot. So I'm very impressed. I mean, you guys can see what's happening here. So now let's go under our color warp and go in here and make a few changes. Okay, so what I want to do first thing is I'm going to click right here and open it up to 16. I really want to have more control. Now let's just start having fun. So I'm just going to make changes in the actual viewer. So I'm going to click right here and I'm going to start pulling this down. Now I kind of want to see what's happening. Maybe leave it somewhere around here because I really want to just create this surreal world around her. So this is not looking bad at all. I'm happy with that. And this is all I want to do in terms of the leaves in the back. I'm going to create a parallel node. And here what I want to do is I'm going to go under my magic mask. And here are all the tools that we have to use. So I'm going to select face. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to click on better. See how much better it actually is. Like faster is kind of rough. Better is way better. And now I'm just going to, track it forward. Let it do its thing. And now I'm going to click right here and I'm going to track it backwards. This is, man, I love AI. And their neural engine is like really going to town with these new tools. So now I'm going to come back in here. Okay. I want to go in my blur radius and just crank it. So if there is any imperfection, it's going to make sure that it takes care of that. So now that we did that, if I were to hit my highlights, you can just see that we're only selecting her face. Now, I'm going to go under my key and I'm going to select just her skin, get as clean of a key as possible. Obviously, I don't want to grab her teeth, so I'm going to go back on the saturation and then that should take care of that. And then let's just do a little bit of denoise, not too much. So even something like that. And now if I come out, so basically consider it like a window, but more like a roto job that tracked it. And it was just like one quick click, boom. We didn't have to create a shape and then change frame by frame. Everything just happened on the spot. And now what I can do is I can just come in here and let's make some changes using our color warp. So this time I'm going to go under my Chroma Luma options. I'm just going to come in here, grab her skin and lift it a little bit. So just look what I'm doing. That's too much. I just lifted her skin and there's a little latency, so I'm going to make up for it. All right, so let's undo that. I'm going to see where this lies right there. So I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to lift it up. So if I do before and after, that like really brings her out quite a bit, right? And right there. So obviously we can keep making these changes and then split the difference, but I'm going to take this and move it over a little bit, to be honest with you. Not too much. So something like that, it just pops her out and it was just that easy. Obviously, you just have to practice more to get better at like moving these around, you know, and we can also get more granular here too if we do this. And that should actually give us a little bit better results. And yeah, I already feel like more in control. So that was a pretty good move. This is too much. So we can do two things. We can just grab it and pull it down and split the difference that way. That did the trick. And now if I go back to my color warper, this was the change that we made. That was a pretty big change. Okay, so I just realized it is actually Magic Mask that is really taxing. To be honest with you, as of now, it's sort of like an overkill. I wouldn't use it if it's going to slow my system down this much. But overall, these new features are banging. Because just look at it, right? If I were to turn this off, the difference it made is just night and day. Like, come on. The detail we were able to preserve is just out of control. And then Color Warper, one quick, swift move gave us this. And then we popped her out so easily. Now let's go under our Sat versus Luma. And I'm just going to go in here. So let's say I want to take the desaturated areas and I want to brighten it up. So that's the beauty of this, right? So if I do before and after, it just took all of this and it just raised it. It might be a bit much. It just all depends what you want to do with it. But obviously I want to show you these features, so I'm going to use it. But then I can always go under my glow and bring the brightness down, so it's not as shocking. Or actually, you know what? I can do one better. I can just blend it a little bit. There you go. So that is going to take care of that. But if I go back to this node and we turn it on and off, we see how it just takes the desaturated areas and raise it up. Obviously, using it as an example, I kind of like this better. So guys, there you have it. I do want to just test this. I want to turn this off and now move my image around. So it is Magic Mask. That's what's slowing it down. Okay, see? So if I turn it on and now if I move it around, see, it chokes it. So yeah, I mean, in my assessment then, I would stay away from the Magic Mask and still use these tools. I would definitely use Color Warper when needed, and use HDR is like a huge success for me. I think I'm going to be using it a lot in the future. This does not replace your highlights recovery node. I would still have it right before this node, just an FYI, but HDR is a phenomenal tool. So let's kill these and then do start to finish where we started to where we ended up. So we started with this, then we added some color and did our primaries, worked on the HDR and brought tons of information back. Then I added the glow and went straight into my color warper and just one quick little move, and then brought her out using Magic Mask and color warper. So this, and then obviously we used our Sat versus Luma to kind of pop her out. Maybe split the difference. I will pull this down a little bit. So guys, this gives you an idea of how you would use these tools in a real world. Let's check out the final look in full screen. Now I want to take a second to talk about color management inside DaVinci Resolve. This is your default DaVinci YRGB Rec 709 Gamma 2.4, and usually you don't want to mess with it. It's rocket science. Just leave it as is and you're good to go. That is changed permanently now. If you click on DaVinci YRGB Color Managed, Resolve has added these color management presets. So if you click on it, and it gives you a quick little description too. So this is SDR Rec 709 for 100 nits monitor, ready to go. Just set it and forget it. You don't need to do anything else. You can set it to SDR P3 Cinema, and this is what you will use for digital cinema projection if you're going to be working on a movie or something like that. And then if you come down here, this is very exciting. So I'm going to touch base on DaVinci Wide Gamut, something brand new to Resolve 17. But then look at this. If you go to HDR Rec 2020, it's telling you that now you're in Rec 2020, and this is a good wide gamut for SDR or HDR deliverables. You can set it to P3 broadcast, and that's what you're going to use if you are delivering something to Netflix. It's going to be P3 D65. Before, you had to manually set everything up. This is ready to go. You don't have to touch anything. This is the first time that DaVinci Resolve has introduced their own wide gamut, and look at this. It is mind-blowing. So here's the chart. This small triangle right here is Rec 709. Then Rec 2020 is this gray line, which is pretty large. But look at DaVinci Wide Gamut. This black outline triangle right here is DaVinci Wide Gamut. And the best thing about it is that once you set it up to DaVinci Wide Gamut, all your tools work just as they would in Rec 709. So that was the biggest complaint people had with Asus, that tools just didn't work right. There were different workarounds to make your primary wheels and everything work normally. But with DaVinci Wide Gamut, everything works how it's supposed to. So one brand new feature worth mentioning in the edit page is this. I can right click here and create a timeline off of that one clip, which is actually a baked file. It's an entire project. We have a bunch of different clips in here. Okay. So before, you had to be in the media pool and then right click from the finder level and then do a scene cut detection. Now you can just be right here, go under timeline and do detect scene cuts. Boom. It's going to go through and it's going to chop it up for you. So you don't need to be, again, in the media page doing this before you bring in the clip. Does a phenomenal job. If there are any errors, let's just say here it's the same shot and it made a mistake, you can just click right here and hit delete. And it will get rid of that edit point and then just keep moving on. Now I want to go through some of my favorite features in the cut page, and I'm going to start off with the live preview for effects, titles, transitions, etc. Check this out, okay? If I hover over on analog, it gives me a live preview. Obviously, Final Cut 10 had it a while ago, but this is new to DaVinci Resolve, and it's just playing it without any issues at all. Now, if we have this here, why the hell don't we have this effect in the color page? I have no idea, but I hope they add it soon. This one is so good. If you troll this down, now for the safe area, it's broken down into different categories. So broadcast and film, social media, and then title safe. So if I click on, say, Instagram, boom. Now I can just go into my inspector, move things around manually if I like. And if I want to turn it off, I can just click on it. That disables it, enable it again. And there is your safe area. Just as how easy it is to select your safe area, you can click on this guy and select your timeline resolution. And here are some quick presets. So I can just click on the square. And there you go. I got my Instagram, or I can actually do story mode right there. So this is unreal. This stuff makes me so happy. And it's readily available in the cut page. To make it even better, they added Smart Reframe, something that Adobe Premiere incorporated a year or 2 years ago. But you can just come in here, click on Reframe. It will go ahead and analyze the image, and then boom, you're done. So if I go right here and then play it now, you can just see how it will effortlessly keep her in the center. And that is such a time saver. Now, this feature is not new, but definitely worth mentioning. So you can quick export right within your cut page. You don't have to go to your deliver page, and they have a bunch of presets here, or you can log in to, say, YouTube or Vimeo. So here, I'm logged into my Vimeo. I can upload this file directly to my Vimeo with a password, provide that password to my client, and just move on to the next task. So clearly, after seeing all the new features, it makes sense why everybody's freaking out about DaVinci Resolve 17. I have to agree, it is one of their biggest updates. If you're enjoying the content, guys, smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, and please don't forget, 6 days left to take advantage of the special offer on my masterclass. If you want to become a pro colorist, this is the ultimate guide to help you do that. On that note, I will see you guys in the next video.